I'd like to welcome all the school administrators, the teachers, and the first responders that we have joined with us today. It's my understanding that we have some of the jurisdictions where we have both the education community and the first responder community watching the webinar together. I think that's very important to continue collaboration that's happened in the past and continue on with it in the future. So I thank you for joining us today. Before we begin, I'd like to thank the New York State Chiefs of Police Association, who's given us their experts in this area to assist us on the school safety presentation, as well as the New York State Chiefs of Police, Sheriff's Association, rather. They both have professionals that have been dealing with the issues of school safety for many years, and their expertise was very valuable. I think that if we accomplish two things today, we will have succeeded. The first is to make sure that the communication between educators and first responders in the area of disaster planning is there. The time to meet each other is not at the time of the scene, not at the time of the disaster. I think long before we have emergency planning, educators and first responders need to be on a first-name basis with each other. They have to know what each other's expectations are. The second thing that we really hope to accomplish as a result of this webinar is asking you in the schools to take a very critical view of your school safety plans, pull them off the shelf, brush off the dust, and look at where your gaps and deficiencies may be. Look at those plans and decide what you need technical assistance on. The State School Safety Improvement Plan is a group of agencies that is comprised of working with the Governor's Office, with the State Education Department, the New York State Police, as well as the Division of Criminal Justice Services and the Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. All these agencies have been picked for their expertise in the areas where they can offer planning and assistance for purposes of school safety. One of the things I'd like to caution the jurisdictions on is this program has not been set up to have jurisdictions turn in their plans for edit and review by the state. This is actually a program where the jurisdictions, the schools, take a critical view of their plans, identify gaps and deficiencies, and the state offers technical assistance.
The New York State Safety Improvement Team has created a website dedicated to school safety with resources for teachers, parents, and first responders. The website address is safeschools.ny.gov. This is the homepage of the website. The website includes online training, links to resources, tips and guidance documents, and tools such as a survey checklist to help with safety planning. As you know, New York State legislation requires schools to have safety plans that include protocols for handling certain types of incidents. For those who have not reviewed their safety plans in some time, we have developed a school building plan survey to simplify the process of auditing your school safety plan. This school building plan survey can be downloaded and used by your school safety team to check against your plan. Remember that per the SAVE legislation of 2000, your school safety team must include law enforcement, state police, sheriffs, and/or local, and should also include other first responders such as fire and emergency medical services. Plans need to be filed with the state police, sheriffs, and local law enforcement, as well as with the fire department. The survey list is broken down by subject areas. The yellow highlighted areas on the survey checklist are mandatory through legislation, and the remaining items are best practices that we've collected from the education community and first responders from across the state. You can use this survey checklist as a scratch sheet with your team to lead discussions on what is in your school safety plan, what is mandated, and what is suggested. You can download the school building plan survey, review your plan with your school safety team, and submit the completed survey online at safeschools.ny.gov. Once you've completed the survey, you can click on the Assess Your Plan button. This is where you can input the data from your survey checklist for inclusion into the statewide database. You'll be able to submit your survey checklist from now through early spring. Remember, having a school safety plan is mandatory. Submitting the audit checklist is not, but it makes your school eligible for physical, financial, or possible future financial aid for fiscal security. The New York State School Safety Improvement Team will review the information and will be able to determine the areas that need improvement and the strengths of our schools across New York State. This will assist New York State School Improvement Team in seeking out the most useful resources for our schools and share the strengths and the best practices collected from you who submit the data. In the near future, the website will have online training related to school safety issues. School teachers, administrators, and first responders can complete the training courses on their schedule. The first online training will be available soon. The training is called Threat Assessment, School Climate and Culture. In addition to law enforcement, fire departments, and emergency medical services, your school safety team should build and maintain relationships with other disciplines, such as county mental health services, local media, county emergency management, your parent associations, and local hospitals prior to an incident, so that you're not getting to know these individuals and their expectations while trying to deal with an incident as it's occurring. Most first responders also welcome the idea of holding drills to practice responses to different scenarios on school property. Drills can be on a small scale, like ones that are held in a meeting room, with those that might respond during an incident, talking through the type of response to a specific incident. The next type of drill would be a tabletop exercise with the same individuals. However, this time they run through the event like it's happening in real time. Or the largest type of drill is a full-scale drill. This type takes a good deal of coordination, as each first responder would bring their personnel and equipment that would respond during a real emergency or incident. A good idea is to start small and only test one part of your plan. For example, if you're going to test your communication systems, then stay away from testing other aspects of your plan, like evacuation site transportation. You'll also want to keep your scenarios realistic and in control. Interjections like, "now we have a bus accident in addition to an active shooter on campus," only serves to frustrate the participants, who may come away defeated with nothing gained from the lesson. First responders, state police, and local police, EMS, and fire departments are always looking for locations to practice. So please, invite us in. The time to meet your local first responders, not during an incident. Once again, here's where you can find the training courses. It's a great idea to have the school safety team members complete a training course first before dusting off the safety plan and submitting it into the secure database. These tools, resource documents, online training, survey checklists, and the submission of your school plan survey data are available to any school in New York State. Whether it is legislated or not, it's a good idea to invite all disciplines who have an vested interest in your school's population and to have school safety discussions. This will encourage first responders to become more involved in the school planning process and better prepared to respond when an incident occurs. I'd like to speak to you about the New York Alert System. It's a free automated system that warns of incidents occurring in your area. The majority of colleges in New York State are already signed up, but the primary and secondary school districts have not taken advantage of this service. If you click on the link, you'll be able to follow the steps through to set up your account to New York Alert. For example, you can receive alerts by means of text messages, fax, or phone voice messages for events that occur in your area. This could be helpful to a school district because it will warn you if there are weather-related incidents occurring, traffic issues affecting bus routes, and other emergency messages. This website is for you. Please give us your feedback on what you would like to see on this website. If there are topics or reports on school safety or training programs that you're interested in, we'd like to know. Please give us comments and suggestions so that we can make this site a place where you will go find useful and valuable information. Click Contact from the website or email us at info@safeschools.ny.gov.
Good afternoon. I'm Chuck Sabrola, Assistant Commissioner with the New York State Education Department. And today I would like to talk to you about financial incentives and several best practices that can help you make your school buildings safer for your students and staff. Recently, the law was changed to provide additional aid for school security upgrades, such as electronic security systems and hardened doors. It's important to note that these upgrades must be part of your school district safety plan to be eligible for this additional aid. The aid incentive is an additional 10% above your district's school building current year building aid ratio. And this is for improvements made in the 2012-13 school year through the 14-15 school year. So even if you made some of these eligible improvements last school year, you're still eligible to submit a claim. In order to help districts implement these changes more quickly, and this applies to these simpler projects that we'll get to on the next slide, now we created a streamlined process where you don't need to go through the normal offices, facilities planning process where you're required to get a building permit. And again, this only applies to the electronic security and entry security projects. To claim these funds, you would simply submit your claim to the online to the state aid office at the state education department. Again, there's no approval required by the Office of Facilities Planning. And next, we're going to talk about the types of projects that are eligible for this streamlined claim procedure. Okay, as you can see from the slide, there's really two broad areas. The first is electronic security systems, including access controls to your main entrance. This could include an intercom, camera, so you can get an idea of who's at the your front entrance, as well as electronic door unlatching systems, and an interface with the building management system and central lockdown buttons, etc. The other piece is regards door hardening items. For example, you may want to replace your existing door with a door that is more secure, more difficult to penetrate, new door hardware, door frame replacement, side light removals, so that in essence, instead of large pieces of glass, you could break it up into much smaller pieces of glass, make it much more difficult for someone to enter your building by simply breaking the glass. And could also involve changing the size of your door and vision panels. And again, these types of projects are eligible for the expedited claiming process I talked about, where you're submitting directly to our Office of State Aid. You'll note at the top of the slide, it gives some additional information on AIDABLE items. You should definitely check this web link before you file your aid claim. Next, I'd like to talk about some of the projects that would not necessarily be eligible for the additional aid. And this would include installation of bullet-resistant glass and other than the main entryway, badge systems, visitor ID scanning systems. These are things that are considered operational and not integral to the building itself. In addition to the new incentives that were created, there are more major security projects that districts might entertain doing. These are also eligible for building aid, but since they involve the structural integrity of the building or the fire safety system of the building, these do require a building permit and require that you submit your project to the Office of Facilities Planning, require a building permit. Depending on the size of the project, you may also need voter approval for that project. You certainly would need it if you were going to borrow money to pay for the project. Now, although these are more detailed reviews, we will make every effort, given the important nature of school security, to expedite these projects. If you have any questions, I would ask you to, involving your school facility, you can certainly talk to your project manager in the Office of Facilities Planning at the State Education Department. They're more than happy to help you. The next slide talks about just the status of where we are. I'm glad to report that a number of districts have already undertaken upgrade work and are benefiting from that. Based on the people who've already implemented, we've refined our guidance, and I won't read the web link. It's kind of lengthy, but it's on this slide, and you'll find additional guidance on how you apply for aid and other information. We keep these web links updated to help people have the best information available. Finally, I'd like to talk about several best practices that are in the guidelines that we think you will find helpful and will allow you to have the best safety plans possible. First, any improvements you made, you should always update your safety plan, your school building and school district level safety plans to incorporate those so people are aware of what you have in there. Second, it's important that people be able to speak the same language during an emergency, during a drill. The state, the federal government, we all have been trained in the incident command system, where it's clear what the chain of command is. You don't duplicate things, you don't have gaps in your emergency responses, and it makes it easier for all of us to talk to each other because we use a similar language. In addition to planning for what might happen during an incident, it's important to plan for what's going to happen after an incident occurs. We've all seen what happens when something happens. Everybody converges on the building, and managing that in and of itself can be a challenge. And this includes managing the media and the parents, what's going to happen. It's critical that you ensure that your district's public information officer is part of your plan, that someone has been designated to speak for the district and properly trained for that role. Another important piece is reuniting students and parents after an incident. This would also include how you're going to communicate with those folks, and how you're going to get the information out in the event of an incident. We recommend that a letter be sent home explaining the reunification process to parents prior to an incident occurring, so that if something ever does happen at one of your school buildings, everybody knows what to expect and is prepared to do that.
This collaboration is to address all emergencies. There can be release of hazardous chemicals in a school that could cause just as much havoc as another type of incident. So it's just of paramount importance that the two communities get together, familiarize yourself with each other, and drill together to be prepared for any incident that a school might have. So again, I would just restate the web address, which is safeschools.ny.gov, to submit any sort of questions or suggestions that you may have, article pieces that you have seen. Again, that address is info@safeschools.ny.gov. I'd like to thank everybody for their time and attention today, and we look forward to working with you to keep our kids safe. Thank you.